All right, so for today's class, we're going to make a pop-up card. We have made some pop-up cards last year also, but this one is a new design. And this just for the fun of making a card, but not the same flat thing. I thought this would be an interesting activity. Now I don't know how many of you are send cards. I'm not the types who sends cards at all. Sadly, we are not a culture that does this thing, but I love making cards. And once in a while, at least when we were kids, that used to be super fun because then you make that little thing, take it to your friend's place, and everyone would be wowed. But we do have this envelope exchange in going on. So if you are participating in that, this is a nice card to send out. And also, this is again one of those things that you can make in advance. You can make multiples, you can scan them and maybe print them or just photocopy it because the entire design can fit in one A4 sheet. And there are additional elements that you can make separately. So just make your design and just go to your local photocopy fellow and photocopy as many as you need whenever you need them. So you keep your master separately and then you assemble the photocopies and you can send them out to people. So we will use one A4 sheet and I will show you the format, how you can plan everything on one sheet. So Shalaka, you can just make that card in that one sheet and then at a later stage whenever you get help you can cut it out and then maybe the video will show you how to even assemble it towards the end. All right, so we will start off with one A4 sheet for the card, but keep one handy in case you feel like you want to either test out your elements or you want to make some more elements depending upon how much space we have. The papers we need to be slightly thick, but what we can do is a combination of things. We will use our regular drawing paper to do the painting stuff, and then if we have a thicker card paper, we can make another sheet that's slightly bigger than the card and then cover it from the top. So I'll show you how to do all of this. Oh. Okay, so this is my A4 sheet. Now this is a slightly smaller size than A4 because I have literally salvaged this from an old drawing book and cut out the edges. There is also a perforation along this edge, you'll see. I wanted to get rid of a whole lot of junk from my studio, but I just could not get myself to throw out perfectly good paper. And knowing that we were going to do so many crafty things this month, I just tore them out and decided to use it like this. So just tear it out and then cut off this edge, and this is perfectly usable. So, Shalaka, I just want you to see this part and then you will know how you can leave space for all the different elements. Now, I'm going to show you a sample of what we've done and we are going to do something similar. So there aren't any surprises here. If you know what is happening, then it'll be easier for you to plan this and there won't be any unnecessary mistakes and no time wasted in that. So our card is horizontal like that and it opens up and pops up like this. So we are going to create a spiral pop-up mechanism And on the spiral, we are going to be able to paste a whole lot of elements, and you could probably write a message to someone special around the card. So I'm not too concerned about what message you're going to write right now. So we are just going to focus on making the design and making all these elements, assembling all of it. And once you know this, you can then make it at will whenever you want to. It's always better to do any kind of writing before you assemble anything that is popping up or out, because trying to write like this without damaging the card is very difficult. So now that you know how this is, if you have somebody's birthday coming up or something like that, plan for it, even for this card, even for our test card. And you could write, leave space over there to write their message. And if you need help for doing that, stop me at that point and I will show you how to do that. All right. So this part and the spiral and many of the flowers have been made out of one A4 sheet. Okay, and there are certain additional flowers which I made out of extra sheets of paper, which I happen to have a lot of, just like these little strips that are lying around. So if you've got this kind of scrap paper, this is a good project to use them all up in. Okay, now in order to make that spiral, we will also need something circular. So maybe a box about this size. This is maybe about this wide. So the size of my forefinger to my knuckle. But I'll show you how to measure that as well. Now we are going to start off with folding and cutting the paper in half. So Shalaka, all you need to do is just fold over and pinch the paper on both sides so you know where the half mark lies. And you can go ahead and make all the artwork on one side for the base of the card, which is this part. All right. And we will leave about 1/2 of the other side where the circle will be made, and then the remaining elements you will make over here. Okay, so you don't need to do any cutting, folding, pasting, any of that right now. So those of you who are not familiar with cutting with a cutter, I just want to show you how to do this thing. I sometimes take it for granted that everyone knows how to use a cutter, but I found that as much as we've used knives for chopping, cutters are not something everyone is familiar with unless you've done art or architecture or something like that. So the best way to cut paper is to keep the knife flat as you can. The fold needs to be very crisp, and hold the cutter at a 45-degree angle, more or less 45-degree angle, and just gently push it sideways out. So instead of hacking at it, going back and forth, as might seem intuitive, you just take one cut, and as you angle the blade outward, it starts cutting forward into our fold. So you don't have to do a back and forth movement. Then you return the blade to the neck and pull it out again. And keep your other hand on top so that your paper remains flat. If you don't, then sometimes the blade can just cut on either side of the fold and you don't get a clean edge. So here we have two parts. Now we are not going to fold this part first. We are going to paint the backdrop. And now that you've seen the design, you can either make the same design or you can think of something else. Do you want to think of something else that you want to make in your card? Any ideas?
Let's stick to the same for now.
You want to stick to the same? All right. Do you want to make okay, just for a variety's sake, how about instead of making the whole backdrop green, let's make it blue going to green. We could probably make it like a sky going towards the ground. So for this, we just do this like a regular wash, and I'm using a board underneath so that I can tilt the paper and paint from edge to edge. You could also put a tape along the edge if you want to, and just take a whole load of cerulean blue to start with. You can also use cobalt if you want. I enjoy making a sky out of cerulean. And because this is going to be a backdrop, you can you can also paint it flat, and even if you get some clouds naturally or some texture, it's not a bad thing at all. So here's how I do it. I hold the paper at an angle and make sure that I have enough medium for at least the first 4 or 5 strokes. And I keep adding to the medium. So the action is to take water and medium, ensure that it is wet enough, and start laying this down. Now I do have a green ready as well. So you have to load the brush a whole lot and gently stain the paper as you come down. You don't press the color too much. Now, if you're painting it flat, there can be some puddles, and those will leave beautiful textured clouds, which in today's case is perfectly fine. It's going to look lovely. But also, this is a good opportunity to practice making a nice even wash. So technically the card can be made out of colored paper also. So you don't really have to do this entire exercise of painting the backdrop. You can also recycle stuff if you've got card paper or paper from maybe invites or wedding invites or something that's really lovely. You can keep that and use that as the base of the card. Now, as I'm coming lower, I'm going to introduce green to this. So part of my blue is going to look blue-green. And as it comes lower, I can increase the depth of color, and I can also change the color if I feel like it. So I could add a little bit of viridian green over here. As you come to the bottom, you can reduce the paint in your brush and finish it off so that there are no puddles. Alright, now we're going to leave this first half of the paper to dry, and in the second half we have to make a circle. So we need the circle to be only about half of the card itself. So since we haven't folded the first card, for this paper again you can just pinch one end so it gently marks the paper without making a crease over there, and find different items that you can place and keep so that you see that the width of the circle does not increase, is not more than this half, not this but this, the shorter half. So we are going to have some room along the long side. Okay? Yeah, can I show you this once, please? If you can look up, I'll just show you once more. So what I've done is I have marked at half of this. Our colored piece is going to be folded to half. Yeah? And our circle is going to sit within that half. So we need our circle measurement to fit within this much space. If you take a very large circle like this and fit it within the whole card space like that, when you cut it, it is going to stick out of the base. So I'm using the bottom of this and making a card along the edge, making a circle along the edge so that I can conserve as much paper as I can. Now, in the event that you do not have a proper circle or the right size circle, just take anything with which you can make a circle. And if not, just make a freehand circle about this size also. The circle is immaterial. Even if your circle is slightly wobbly, that is perfectly fine too. It won't really matter. So we won't spend too much time on that. And we are going to paint this circle also in these two colors, but we can paint it maybe again blue to green on one side and do the same on the other, blue to green on the other, but we don't have to draw that part. And much of this circle is not going to be seen, but we don't want to keep it white. The edges are going to be cut off also, so you don't have to be too precise when you're painting this. And you can deliberately leave some clouds in. Okay, we'll just pause for a minute so that all of you can finish this part, and then I will start again. I don't want to rush you. We have enough time to do this very slowly. All right, everyone done? Okay. Now on this remaining paper, you can take a medium size brush or a medium to large size brush and make any kind of flower that you enjoy making. So you can make rosettes like these if you want, which are essentially just round circles inside which are made a texture. Or you can make flowers which are maybe even like regular flowers. So you can have a mix of scarlet and crimson flowers. You make petals coming in towards the center, something like this. So just dab into the color and make nice rich colored flowers. So an easy way to make this is just to visualize a circle in which you have, say, 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 7 and 5. O'clock, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 7 and 5. And if you want to make rosettes, you can use just something like this. Now I'm going to use both these flowers. Just make something like this. And after this dries, we can make some lines on it. If you want to make this light and pink, then all you do is add extra water. Since we have to cut these up, leave some room between them. And some of them can also have leaves. So we'll first finish all these flowers in our composition. And then wherever we have space, we can add leaves. The best part about these flowers is the simple structure allows us to play a lot with the shape. And whenever you're making a very dense design or composition, sometimes it's a better idea just to keep the individual elements fairly simple. Of course, if we make them very complex, like these flower shapes, if you want to make them into, say, orchids or lilies and all, no doubt it will look good. But it's like there is a threshold of what looks aesthetically elegant. Multiple colors can distract, so same with multiple forms. So we need to find an optimum. Now even the leaves can be painted in the blank space like that. I've just used a mix of sap green and a little bit of viridian. Now, if you are not big fans of red flowers and green leaves, consider making the leaves blue. Sometimes that also can look good. You can make more than one leaf. And like I said, if you feel that these are insufficient, you can use scraps of paper to make more. Alright, now we can leave the flowers to dry and bring our attention to the main card itself. And at this point now we can fold the card. You could have folded the card earlier also, but often when we have creases on a paper, those creases attract a lot of pigment. So you would have, in all probability, got a dark line over here, which just looks rather unsavory. So it's always better to plan and paint. Now, if you want to write a message to somebody, we have room all around we have some room in the center here and around the top over here. So the structure of the card is such that there will be some room in the center, and you could write the name of a person right here where it is nestled within the coils of the flowers, and you could write your message somewhere along the top. So instead of the flowers that I have made over here, you could have your message. So it happens to be a friend's birthday today, so I'm going to attempt to write happy birthday Anu, or I could write happy birthday here and I could write Anu over here at the bottom. Now I have white colored ink. So I'm gonna make it really subtle. So my happy birthday is going to be in blue, on blue. Now when you are faced with this kind of lettering, my advice is don't start with a pen directly. Use your rough sheet and mark the space and try out a few lettering samples. So this is how large our width is, our card width. Now in this, suppose we want to write happy birthday in a circle, let's say. You can draw a circle and you will divide the letters as if happy birthday is one word itself. So let me show you how to do this. So I'll write HAPPY, leave a dot for a space, almost a letter worth of space, and write birthday. This can be written anywhere because this is going to be used just to count how many letters I have. So I have 5 here and I have 8 over here. 5 plus 8 is 13 plus this space in the middle. So in all I need space for 14 letters. Even the blank space will be considered as a space, which means that I will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on one side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the other side of a center. So this is how I do it. I mark the center with a line, and then depending upon how much space you have, you can just eyeball where the letters are going to come. You decide arbitrarily that this is going to be the size, this is the space, and then you can write Y, P, P, A, H. So you'll get happy over here. This is a space. 1 minute. This will be B space Y, P, P, A, and H. Correct. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces, and the same space on the other side. Now if you feel that this is too close, you can spread this out. You can make it even bigger. So in that case, you can maybe make extra spaces. And maybe make wider letters. So write them over here. H, A, P, P, Y, space, B, I, R. See what I've done? I have just arbitrarily changed where I want to write the letters, and I'll change their widths and spaces so that my H and Y will look aligned. Now I can just keep this here and copy the same on top. It's not very difficult, but the trick is don't start with H. I would recommend start with the word birthday. You can of course make that curve. You can in fact even cut this out if you want to. This is also one way to do it. So your rough paper becomes the guide. We just need to leave some space in the center here. This should be good enough. And I'll keep the guide of the letters on top so I know what letter comes where. And all the letters have to sit on this as if they are perpendicular here. So they will all look like they're radiating. it's always easier to start from the center where the letters are straight and go to the side. And then the hardest part is to come backwards. But this is so much fun, and I encourage you to try doing this in your free time. Writing letters from right to left. There we go. Now my H is slightly lower, the Y is slightly higher. So I'm going to just put an exclamation point, and that does it. Okay, so we will now leave this to dry. This is taken care of. So the reason I keep moving back and forth from the card to the spiral to the elements is so that I can fit all of this within 90 minutes and have nothing left over for any time later. Now our spiral will have dried. So we want to color the back as well. And you can just color where you can see the paper is indented. It doesn't matter whether it's in a circle or not, because it has to be cut anyway. And you could probably match the same blue and green, or just change it around, or just make one color, whatever you want to. You could change the color also, make it a different color altogether in the back. And it doesn't have to be linear also. You can change it and make it circular. So in order to get this paint to behave properly, using a 130 GSM paper for this part of the card is a better idea than using a very thick paper. Okay, now I'm going to very carefully cut around this circle, but I'm holding this in the air. If you can cut the circle itself, that will be fabulous. But if you cannot, then you can just cut a square around that section. And the last part, turn your paper upside down so that you can snip it out and let this dry. It's much easier to color a small section of a whole paper rather than cut out the circle and then try to color it. You'll find it difficult to hold the paper. And if you feel that that's what you want to do, just leave something like a corner uncut, so at least you can hold while you're painting everything else. Alright, now this can dry and we can embellish the flowers. Even these flowers are perfectly fine. But if you feel like it, you can use color pencils now and put a few dots, lines, maybe petal shapes to make them more bold. So I use maybe a purple or a brown color pencil to just make spirals in this. And the spirals should definitely not be uniform. They can just go haywire. It looks really cute. And for the others, you could do the same, but maybe you want to make something like that, just a few folds in the center. So this part, I mean the entire flower, you can do whatever you like to. Even the leaves can be given some detailing using the same color. You could also consider making a few dots as pollen. Alright, so now comes the tedious part, which is cutting all these up. And my trick is to first cut out the sections. If you try to do this whole making a lace around these flowers by cutting them off, it just, I mean, that's a great way to give yourself some challenge. If your life is too easy, go ahead and do that. It's wonderful. Challenges make us stronger and whatnot. But we don't really need to. So now that you know the structure, you could imagine some more topics also that you could use. Now when I cut paper, I generally keep these scraps in a container. I collect them so that I can throw it all together, because I absolutely do not like little bits of paper that come up. And trying to clean them means half of them will land up on the floor. It's totally unnecessary. So take a piece of paper or something, or if you have a container like that, that's even better, because then if you are sitting under a fan, those bits of paper will not fly around. So the other themes that you can think of, like flowers, can be anything that shows either a bouncing action or something that can show, can be seen on a vine. So say we want to make a pumpkin patch like vine. So these could easily have been pumpkins. There could be other vegetables like peas maybe, and you could probably make this card for a gardener. Or if there is somebody who likes maybe space or something like that, you could use the spiral mechanism to look like a launch, a space launch or something. And you could have, on one end you can have a rocket or a satellite or something like that, and uh, the trail on the spiral could be like firecrackers. You could also have a Diwali card made like that, where you can have firecrackers bursting, and the base can be made of black colored paper on which you could probably paint more sparkles. So give it a thought. There are lots of options. You can come up with something that is very original. In order to make it work, remember that our elements need to be relatively simple rather than too complicated. And you can make numerous elements. They all, in their, because we make them by hand, in their variety, sheer variety, because we can never make the same thing again by hand. They will look really nice. Those little color changes, changes in form, keep the design very organic. In fact, this is one of those places where you can easily spot the if the design has been made digitally and there are repetitions. It's somehow a little boring for us. There's something about imperfection and variety that I think is very natural. Even when we see flowers and plants, there are hardly any that look identical, except a few plants like neem tree. I don't know if you noticed a neem tree before. Very often it almost looks like a digital painting because it's like a copy paste of many of the leaves. The same thing is true for amla as well, the small amla. The leaves are too precise. And there is a sense of what's called an uncanny valley. I don't know if you've heard of this concept before, uncanny valley, in the context of artificial intelligence. So the valley part is the abyss between what is real and what is artificial, let's say. And when artificial reality mimics or looks too close to reality, it creates a sense of unease. That is referred to as the uncanny valley. So, the uncanny part then is the disbelief that the artificial element is so close to reality. When you see robots now that are used in, at least on social media, you will see somebody has made this robot that looks so human. It looks a little creepy to us, at least to me it does. So, because how closely it resembles, it's made to resemble a human, but you know that there is some difference. But how do you keep your I guess how do you accept it without feeling some kind of unease? That is the uncanny valley part. Alright, so I'm going to continue cutting these and even furnishing the rest of my flowers. Now, generally, these are just good to make and keep for yourself also. I use these to just put them on some gifts maybe, or when I send out parcels and all, sometimes I just like to stick these if there's any left over. And we come now to the assembly part. So we'll need a little bit of glue. Okay. Now what we need to do is cut out the circle. So if you cut maybe 5 or 6 flowers, we will cut out the rest afterwards. These 5, 6 will be enough for me to show you how to assemble them onto the spiral. And then later on you just have to populate the design. So I'm going to cut the circle out. You can see the circle from one side, right? And on the other side, automatically the color will have come through. Again, this is something that you can do with an already colored paper. You don't have to paint this part. And once you see how the mechanism works, you can decide on how thick you want this paper to be also. Up to 150, 160 GSM should be fine. If you make it too thick, it won't really bob up and down very easily. Alright, now we need to make a spiral shape that comes inward at least 4 times. Okay, so I want you to see this. Using a pencil. Wait, don't draw it. Using a pencil if you have drawn this green like that, we are going to paste the spiral over here. So somewhere from the green, we can keep cutting this so that the center portion is the part which is going to be stuck to the top. Okay. So you can start off making the spiral from here. It starts off really thin, and then about quarter of the circle out, it starts becoming a little thick. This thickness can be about 7 or 8 mm. Now think of it like about the width of your nail. This should be enough. The first part is narrow, let it be narrow. And then you basically just have to draw a line parallel to the outer edge. It will be a little wobbly, and that's okay. And when you come to where you had started that spiral, you will turn inward and continue going, maintaining the same thickness as best as you can. Now drawing this and cutting this out is a little tricky, so take your time, don't rush through this. So we don't want to make it too thin. If it becomes too thin, it may not take the weight of our flowers. Okay, so now I have come to the center, and I'll just count these sections, these segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is great. This is also a segment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coming down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is good. Up to 5 is fine. If it is more than 5, then maybe you have made very thin segments. 4 to 5 is good. And then we just cut on this line very carefully so that you don't accidentally snip away. This part is the only slightly delicate part. And as you're cutting this, the paper is going to start rolling. Eventually, we have to encourage it to sit flat. So while you're cutting itself, you can hold your paper and scissor close to the table. That way, as the spiral rolls, you can keep turning it and it does not flip over. I did this exercise in the kids' class, and two of them accidentally snipped the scissors fast and cut off the spiral. It was so difficult, poor things. They were both 7 years old. I mean, they are. And I had to then really help them not get nervous about this, because it's like in schools, they just feel that in class, if you mess up, you are going to be punished for it, even if you're doing this for the first time. So I had to quickly tell them it's okay, doesn't matter. If you don't want to, if it's scaring you too much, then just stick the flowers on the card directly. The pop-up idea is just something extra, but the whole thing in itself will also look good even if you just use those flowers and paste them. So while you're cutting, see what is happening in the back. Don't get too worried about this. There's a chance that they're just flipping over, but this is because the spiral shape of paper allows the paper to change its dimensions. From flat, it suddenly becomes more tactile and it can twist around. So you just need to hold the paper carefully, see where it is twisted, just gently turn it around if there is a twist like that, and get your mock kachwa chop. See? And this is the reason why we need to have it the same size as our card. Now, of course, if you have cut it slightly longer and maybe a part of your spiral is going outside, you can just trim that edge if you want, the outer edge. But when you place the spiral, just fold the card and see that it is sitting flat and you don't get any Sunday longer than Monday situation happening here. Okay, shall we paste? Or are you still cutting? You still cutting? Okay, let me know when you're done, then I'll show you the pasting. Done? Okay. Anupama, you're done? Okay. Now place the spiral on your paper if you want, you can match the color, you can turn it around and see what color is looking good, how you want to match it. It doesn't really matter. There's no rule that says the green has to be on green. It's just fun, I feel. Now, keeping the spiral flat on the paper, manipulate this such that you can lift the tail of the spiral, the outer edge. And keeping a hand on the spiral, just gently lift the tail, on which we are going to apply just 2 tiny dots of glue, 2, 3. Okay, just like this, just 2, 3 beads of glue, and then bring this back and let it sit where it should sit naturally. That's why you hold this down. And you need very tiny dots, otherwise the glue will bleed from underneath. Once that is settled, you can put a little bit of glue on the top now, on the top of the spiral. So the glue goes on 2 different sides. The outer side is on the lower part, on the bottom of the spiral, and the center is on the top part of the spiral. And now this needs to attach to the top of the card, but you don't fiddle with the spiral. You take the card and bring that down on top of your coil. And we can put a little weight on it and let it sit there. Now while this is sticking, I'm going to make the outer part of the card. This is completely optional. If your outer card is looking nice, you can give it out like this as well. But white paper can look very boring. So I just want to show you this. If you don't have a sheet of card paper for the outside, leave it for now. But there is a trick with which you can make these cards elegantly. So normally we would think that we should just paste this edge to edge, right? The red paper on the white paper of the card. But that will give you a very weak edge. So a better idea is to paste it inside. Leave a little extra space outside of the edge of the white card. And I'm going to fold this paper. So this is like a thick tinted paper. That's about 160 GSM. So this is how thick my card is going to be, and I will just cut it up on the cutter with the cutter using a scale on my board. Now, even these cards and all should always be cut on the fold. Now, this is the double layer here. Ideally, you should not open it up. And the way I use the board is to align the card and the edges so you get a good 90-degree edge. And you can use any one of these lines to align your scale to cut the paper on, so that you always get nice straight edges. Okay, so this is going to be the outside. And after we finish making our card, we are going to paste it like that. Now let's test out. See, this is stuck a little bit. There it is. Nice mechanism. It's looking really cute. Now all we need to do is fill it up with flowers. So I'm going to write Anu in the center here, and I could also have written it on a paper with these roses and put the roses around. Maybe I can do that. Right, now when pasting, there's something different we do here. Instead of applying glue to the flowers, we apply glue to the coil. You can apply glue in maybe 2 places per flower, and then place the flower there instead of the other way around. Because the coil is so tiny, we don't know where exactly we should put the glue so that the flower sits properly. Something like that. And also you should check that you've not put so much glue that after you place the flower, the glue will spill over. Now the structure is such that the first part of the coil will sit down and then it turns its direction. So we are going to have to do a little bit of pasting on both sides of the coil. And you don't want to flatten the flowers. So just one dot is going to be enough. See? You could also apply some one behind the other, so that when the card is opened, it doesn't look like you have only white flowers. So really it's just up to you how you want to place these. And like we had painted the back of the spiral also, you can paint the back of the flowers also. And you can make multiple big flowers for the base and maybe smaller flowers for the rest of the spiral. And at every point, you just want to make sure that the card sits flat, because the whole fun is that you see that this is a flat card and suddenly there's so much happening in there. There we go. Now once this is done, I will fold this and I will paste the card into the red card on the fold. So this is something that we should know is done when it comes to paper. Again, intuitively thinking, we feel we should have attached the papers beforehand and then folded it. But the thickness of the paper, the inside paper, is such that if I open it up, you'll see that there's at least like a small 0.5 millimeter space between the edge of the white paper and the fold, the crease. And if we were to flatten it and paste it first, if you try to fold it, it won't fold really well. So whenever it comes to paper, remember to always hold on the fold and then glue while the fold is closed. This is something that you can do also when we do book binding. And make sure that the glue is spread out right to the edge. The paper is pushed right into the crease of the outside and then press it from inside to outside. And now without opening, flip it over and repeat the same. This time you could probably go a little higher because now one side is stuck. It's not going to move. Okay, and the same thing works. Press it from the inside and let it come to the out. Now, since we have cut it on the fold and stuck it on the fold, everything looks very neat and tidy. Now, on this, I can write my message as well. You can use a gold pen or a white pen or just a colored gel pen. I happen to have this opaque white ink. Okay, checking for direction. And here it's just like regular painting, so you can go all out. And you can use same to draw some sparkles around. And I have one flower which I'm going to cut and paste just on one corner to again give it some slightly different look. What I like about these cards is that they'll instantly look very different from the cards that you get commercially, and that's what makes it more special. It's the making of it can also be special for us, because trying to get a card to look like this is very difficult. By machine, I mean. Now we can do something like that that looks like a maybe a can opening, and you can have hearts flying out, or you could have butterflies that you just open this and you just have a whole I don't know what a collective of butterflies is called. And you could also write a special thing and put it in the center because it's vacant, or you can bulk this up with more flowers. So this all becomes whatever you want to do personally. You can make that your own. That's it.